To sell out or to stay true? Which is better? Grab your stick, grab your drink. Let's get into this thing right now. Yeah. It's your boy JB, live and direct to you. You know what it is. Come on and join in. Ha. What up? It's your boy JB coming at you live and direct, and you know what it is. It's the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast. I'm the Real Cigar Jeff. You can find me on Instagram at the Real Cigar Jeff. You can find me on Facebook at the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast. And of course, you're on YouTube, man. Do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, man, so you get updated every time we drop one of these bangers, man. And y'all know whenever I do a topic like this, who I got to bring with me. I'm going to introduce my panelists real fast. Remind y'all of the expert panel I have. TLC is in the building. Let them know what you're sipping on, drinking on, and where they can find you on the socials, TLC.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy TL Clayton. I'm on Instagram at TL Clayton #1. I'm also on Patreon, The Joke I Didn't Tell. Tonight, I'm sipping on a Sierra Flora. This is a Moscato.
Oh.
You just go to Total Wine and they have the samples out. I kind of sampled this and it was all right, so I went with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a big.
What's that about this shit?
No. Romeo and Juliet Reserve.
Okay, brought that back out. Good stick. Brought that back out again.
Okay. The go-to.
Okay, TLC back in the building. Hold on, let me change my soundboard around here a little bit. There y'all go, man. I'm gonna let it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer tonight, y'all. He under. I'll let it go the whole time. There, you see how it just kind of died out. I'll let it go the whole time. He a little under the weather, man. I appreciate my dog coming in, man. He under the weather, so y'all forgive him tonight. He gonna bring the heat, but it ain't gonna be as animated like it is tonight. So he under the weather, but y'all know, man. Appreciate you being on. Of course, man. My A1 from day one is next. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, tell y'all where y'all can find her on the socials and what she's sipping on tonight.
Hey JB, thanks for having me on the call. What's going on, Torrance? It's your girl Rhonda. I am sipping tonight. Since it's gonna be like 16, 19 degrees, whatever's gonna be here tonight in Charlotte. I got my hot chocolate mixed with closing out the season with the peppermint bark rum chata mixed in there, and I'm on Instagram at RMB LMBT.
Yes. Always good to have a dog on with me. Hey, y'all know how it is. As always, that button still working, Ronnie. Your soundboard still working. They ain't moved that right there where I kept it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's Lord, man. And y'all, of course, man. I'm smoking on my Enclave, man. My Enclave, AJ Fernandez. Finishing up that box, man. Y'all need to get this stick. Good little go-to. And of course, I'm still sipping on my Four Roses small batch. Y'all know how that gets down, man. I'm telling y'all right now, the bourbon is flowing. It's cold everywhere. Most of America is cold. So wherever y'all listening to, get you something warm to drink. Get you something that's going to warm you up. Grab this stick, man. Let's get into this thing. To sell out or to stay true. Which is better? Y'all know TLC, when you got the topic, tell us what first came to mind.
I think it's go ahead and sell out.
There he is. I thought he was sick.
It's hard nowadays to tell what is considered selling out. I guess it depends on the situation. I'm sure we'll get into examples now, but I see a lot of people going after a lot of other people, And I thought about this thing I saw on Instagram. It's this little feed, and it has this little cat, and it runs into the room. It's a mirror there, but the cat doesn't realize it's a mirror, so it's pawing at it. Well, it's pawing at itself, but it actually thinks it's another cat there. And I'm like, you know what? A lot of these people on social media are going after other people in their minds, but it almost seems like they're criticizing their self and where they're at in life. But it just depends on the situation, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's what you came up with.
That's what you
That's
came
what
up
I
with,
came
huh?
up with. That's what I came up with. I think it's a
Yeah.
lot of people criticizing other people, but they really should be criticizing themselves and
Oh,
evaluating
okay.
themselves.
Okay.
That's what
I
I'm
see where
thinking.
he
We'll see how it goes.
I see where he going with it. All right, TLC. I appreciate that. Now, Rhonda, what did you think when you got the topic?
Uh, Basically, you. I don't know if I say one is better than the other. I want to say they're different. Um, get your bag, man. Get your paper. Get what you need to get. But I also believe you don't have to step over somebody. You don't have to dim somebody else's light so you could shine brighter. If you know what you're doing, you should be able to move throughout this world, still doing what you need to do, um, and still do it with some integrity and things like that. But I also know, in light of this day and age, people don't know how to necessarily move with integrity because they do have to make somebody's life more miserable as they go up the ladder for
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're trying to get to. So personally, I think you should stay true. But if you are a sellout, that must have been your nature from the womb. Back to you, JB.
Okay. I guess we know. Hey, look. I guess we know how Rhonda think. Rhonda already attacking the sellouts. I'm already
Right.
offended. I'm already offended because y'all know what category I fall in. Go ahead and start giving her. Go ahead and start giving her the soundboard you got, TLC. I never,
From the
I never
womb.
thought
That's
this was
all
gonna
I'm
be
gonna
the
say.
turn.
Like
From the
It's
it's
never.
womb.
cold outside.
It's, Rhonda said, "Man, it's cold. I ain't got time to be doing this. I ain't got time to be doing this podcast. I need to get warmed up." Now, and I'll say this to you guys. One of the things when I did this topic, one of the reasons I did this topic was because a lot of things are happening, right? You know, Nick Saban retired, Bill Belichick retired, Stephen A. Smith fighting with Jason Whitlock, Cat Williams, Kevin Hart, Cat Williams, Steve Harvey, Cat Williams said the entertainer, right? All these things that have been happening, okay? You got the Republican primary. You got Fannie Willis in Atlanta with the scandal that she's in. All these things are happening around us. And one of the things I want to say is, remember the title, guys. Which one is better? The best part about this is I love a podcast where we can be subjective. Which one is better? And I should have said which one is better for you. That should be the real topic. And one of the things that you got to find is if you choose to sell out, don't judge the person who stayed true. And if you decide to stay true, don't judge the person who sell out. Because if you decide to stay true, don't complain about the financial situation or the exposure of the person who didn't stay true. And if you sold out, don't go trying to talk to the people who stayed true about what they should have done. Because I think that's what kind of getting this whole thing out of control is that if you made a choice for you, limit it to that. And don't be mad that other people didn't make the choice. Right? Don't be mad that other people didn't make the choice because one of the things on the Wolf of Wall Street, one of my favorite movies, Wolf of Wall Street. And Jordan Belfort said something. Jordan Belfort said, I've been a rich man and I've been a poor man. He said, I'm gonna choose rich every time, right? But you gotta understand, in order for you to be rich, you gonna have to step on somebody. And in order for you to be poor, you gonna have to let somebody step on you. TLC, jump in there, let me know what you think when you hear me say that.
Well, when you mentioned about stepping on somebody, the first thing that came to my mind was the one of the topics you gave was the Nick Saban situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, Nick Saban's got 7 championships, one of the most decorated people in college football. I looked at his record actually when you sent me the topic, and it was crazy. I can't remember offhand. I think he said like maybe 20 some losses total the whole time he's been at Alabama, which is crazy. I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I'm like, do you know how many people he had to beat up and step over to get that? Now all of a sudden he's retiring, and everybody wants to say he got pushed out, and oh he can't cut it
And I
anymore, and
am.
like you won't say that when he was on the football field. Like you just weren't. Like none of them people that were talking about Nick Saban were saying that when they were playing against him.
He
They
he
just
would
weren't.
but TLC, He could not stand, and then Ron, I want you to jump in there. He could not
I
stand
disagree.
TLC. He could not stand this NIL stuff. Once that
Well, he
NIL
doesn't
came
like
in,
it.
he
He
doesn't
really
like
doesn't
this
like
pay
it.
for play. He likes to get paid, and he don't want those kids to get paid because once that kid making $1 million, that kid ain't gonna let Nick Saban talk to him any kind of way.
But I'm gonna say this. Of course, he's not big on the transfer portal and all that. I agree with that part. But to sit here and say he can't exist in that system, that's not true.
Uh,
Like he's not
uh,
happy with it. He's not happy with it. But let's
TLC,
not sit here and say he can't exist in it.
he can
The man,
exist, but he can't
the
dominate. He can
the
exist.
man was at the playoffs like this
TLC,
year.
he can exist, but that's residue from before NIL, and you know who ruined Alabama. My dog, Coach Prime.
Oh
Coach
my
Prime
goodness.
came in. Coach Prime left Jackson State. What did they call him when he left Jackson State? A sellout.
Oh yeah.
Right? They called Dion a sellout when he left Jackson State. When Dion got to Colorado, Dion got these boys wanting to be in the mountains in the snow all of a sudden. Right?
Yeah, we
Nick
don't do
We
Saban
well.
have it right now.
Nick
It's
Saban
cold
can't
out.
compete with that. Nick Saban cannot
I
compete.
disagree.
Can't compete. I said the playing field is a little bit more level. You can't compete when you used to be on CBS every Sunday, and now Dion on TV every Sunday till they started losing, and they still had the highest ratings of any outside of Georgia, I believe it was. So the reason why Nick Saban decided to stay true because you can't use old school recruiting when a new school system is in. Rhonda, jump in there. Let me know what you think.
Well,
And y'all
I
see
don't think
TLC
it's
already shaking his head. I know all I had to do was say something that was going to make him disagree. Now the real TLC back. Go ahead, Ron. Jump in there.
that man has made his point. He's proven his record. And he's at retirement age. If he want to go sit down and do whatever, I think he's more than well enough earned it. And let's be real, wasn't the day that he announced officially he was retiring that Deion Jr. was on his Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it saying, "What's up, Alabama?"
Oh yeah, Shador was.
Like
Shador, the
oh
son,
okay,
the
yeah,
son.
yeah, the son, yeah, like just saying like, okay, y'all come up here, y'all had nowhere to go, y'all want,
Wasn't
you
no
know,
congratulations, right? It wasn't no congratulations. Hey man, all
no,
y'all who don't want to play for this lame coach coming in that don't nobody know,
yeah, you
come on
gonna
up
go
here to
up or go out?
come to
Ain't that what
death row.
Deion said? You
Should
gonna go
yeah,
up or you gonna go out?
Shador did Suge Knight right there before our eyes. All y'all that don't like the coach dancing in your videos, right? He said, come to death row. He told him, come right up here to Colorado, right? So,
How that work out for sure?
look, it don't matter.
Meanwhile,
It worked out for
Snoop is still right there because it's a doggy dog world.
Oh my lord!
what you say, TLC? Snoop. Hey, TLC. See, Suge Knight stayed true. Want to go around beating everybody up, right? Next thing you know, you in jail. See, the number one thing that when we talking about these topics, guys, we struggle with the fact that every day you wake up and you got to decide whether you want to stay true or whether you're going to sell out. And this Cat Williams thing, we still own it. He done shook up 2024. You go on YouTube right now, you going to see one on your feed going to be something with Cat Williams going on. Mike Epps did his thing, and he mad that Cat Williams didn't mention him. He said, man, mention me so I can get some free press. Right? At the end of the day, guys, I think what you're about to see is Cat Williams just allowed himself to be able to say, I'm going to start taking in some of these riches now. I'm tired of watching those guys get it. I'm going to start taking it in. And now Cat Williams won't be called a sellout when he go do the same thing. Because the first thing you got to do if you want to successfully sell out is you got to expose the ones who did so it don't make it look that bad when you go ahead and make the same decision.
Yeah, because we all got stuff. Yes.
Where we get look, let me tell you this. selling out is necessary. Any change that's gonna take in your life, you got to leave something behind. If you ain't willing to leave it behind, you can't take on new opportunities. That's why guys who still living off their high school days couldn't go to college. That's why guys living off their college days can't operate out, in the professional world. And Rhonda, you said something about he's at retirement age. When you start making $10, $15 million a year, ain't no such thing as retirement. Everybody else doing the work for you, right? Like he walked away.
Tired, man. He tired.
Bro, let me tell you this. Nick Saban had just as much influence in a black household. And I hate to bring race into this, but Nick Saban had just as much influence in a black household. And until people like Dion came around, Nick Saban really didn't have any competition. If Nick Saban walks into your house and you're a black person anywhere, everybody knew that everybody knew you were going to the NFL. Everybody, if you got a scholarship from Alabama, are you telling me that's a lie, TLC? If you got offered to go to Alabama,
there's other universities out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Florida State, all those big college universities, Notre Dame. There was a lot of other universities out there.
but how many coaching
Don't say
changes?
he didn't have no
Coaching changes. How much coaching changes did Alabama have since Nick Saban got there? What I'm saying is Notre Dame had different guys. Notre Dame had different guys walking there. Florida State had different guys. If Nick Saban walked in your living room, you were going.
Deion's a new guy. He's the next new guy.
Agree, but Deion is coming in with NIL. He's coming in with NIL. Nick Saban did this without NIL. Nick Saban, the reason you got Nick Saban because you wanted to win a championship and go to the NFL. Now these kids are going to the highest bidder, and the parents are the ones being the agents. How much you gonna give us? How much you gonna give us?
It's almost like you don't even have to play anymore. It's almost like you don't have to play hard. You get a few.
You really don't. That's why Deion's like,
okay.
It didn't matter that Deion went 4-8, right? His son leading the NIL. Mm-hmm. he walking in Paris right now in the Louis Vuitton show. What does 4-8 mean? Right? You got your whole family at the Louis show that Pharrell just launched, the 2024 line. Your two sons walking in it. I don't care if you were 4-8. This is what football is about now. It's about your marketing ability versus your on the field results. And Nick Saban don't know what to do in that because nobody looks up and says, "Man, that's a fly jacket Nick Saban got on." Nobody says no TLC. But TLC, Mike, he loved himself some Nick Saban. TLC see them khakis in that polo. Man, I got to go rock that. Right? TLC jumping
in. You write the same thing.
I'd be like, TLC, that's hot, man. Where you get that from? Then wonder why ain't nobody looking at us. Man, this dude ain't looking like Nick Saban. But TLC, let me ask you this. When it comes to selling out or staying true, and Rhonda, I want you to answer. I want you to come in there after TLC. When it comes to selling out or staying true, why don't we hear about the people who disagreed with how Cat Williams handled the situation? Why is that not getting released to the masses? Jump in and let me know what you think. Because all we hearing about is how Cat Williams is accurate and ain't no discrepancy with it type thing.
Well, I've heard pretty much most of the comedians he talked about come out and put a statement out there. Most of them have touched on discrepancies. Almost all of them have touched on the discrepancies. The difference is they're not on Shannon Sharp's show. They're not all getting the viewership that Shannon Sharp got. He's not getting 10 million views in 3 days like he is with Cat Williams. Cat Williams attracted that type of viewership. But most comedians have come out and made a statement, but theirs wasn't quite as potent as Cat Williams. And just going back to Cat Williams and that situation that I mentioned earlier with the cat clawing at the mirror, when I kind of look at Cat Williams, I kind of see that in a way because I'm like, okay, I remember when Cat Williams was on Wild 'N Out, Kevin Hart was doing Wild 'N Out too, Cat Williams is upset with some of these movies going on. Kevin Hart's doing movies. They have similar roads they're taking in a way, but I guess one is seen as being real and the other one's not because one, I guess, is more, family oriented, family appealing, and that's how I say Cat Williams isn't family oriented. He adopted kids and all that, but I guess maybe his shows are a little more rated R, I guess I would say than Kevin Hart's.
So why do you think people just resonated with this thing got over 40 million views now, by the way, guys. 40 million. Right. It's about to overtake. This thing is going to be crazy. So why is it, and Rhonda, jump in there, why do you think people resonate with a Cat Williams when he's sitting on that chair instead of resonating with the Steve Harvey sitting on that chair?
Well, for one, he was, as most people say about Black people, he was articulate. He spoke very well. He wasn't raising his voice, but now let's just be real. People are here for the tea whenever they get a chance. If you're gonna spill some tea, let's hear it. How much? Or I'm sorry, in our circle, what's the juice? You are right. You got some juice. You got some juice. You want to hear all of that because it makes it even more potent when it has the truth behind it. And I feel like even this majority of the truth, people are gonna believe it. Like even if it isn't all the way true. you will paraphrase a story or how something happened, but people are drawn to it because guess what? There is it's nice to see somebody else like getting tore up since theirs already messed up.
Yep.
Right? Like if you're
Yep.
going through and you hear that somebody else, only difference is they got money and the people that's probably watching may not have as much deep
I,
pockets
I
as they have.
I like what you said there, because that's so true, right? If you successful, you gonna agree with Steve and
Mm-hmm.
said, and if you successful and you got the visibility, if you're a celebrity that's relevant and all that kind of stuff, man, how dare Cat Williams just don't have no couth, man. Like, you start
I'm
using
not
the
gonna
words you
address
learn.
that. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna
yeah. You
respond
start
to that.
using the new language. You start using the new language that out there once you get called out by somebody who kept it real. And that's the funny thing about when you sell out. The problem with selling out is that when somebody who stayed true say something to you, they get you to your core. They get
Mm-hmm.
you to your core because you didn't sell out because you didn't care about the people who stayed true. You sold out because you got tired of when you stayed true, it never worked out for you. Now, Cat
Mm-hmm.
Williams stayed true and he relevant. He's just as well known.
He
But
kind
a
of did
lot
a
of
little
people,
both though, right? He kind of did a little both. He
he
didn't
did
sell out
both.
himself. He sold out other people and
Yeah.
stayed true.
He stayed true, but he still was growing. But he grew at a rate that people could process. Because see, one of the things that people think is that Steve Harvey got
Mm-hmm.
lucky. So who did you step
Mm-hmm.
on to get there? And guys, let's be honest. If you sell out, and again, I'm on the sellout side. I'm on the sellout side. We call this the hometown hookup edition. We call this the hometown hookup edition for a reason. Because the people who raised us told us to go get better, right? They released us to go get better. So, but a lot of people from small towns don't get told that. And then look, the number one reason you knew you were a sellout, even if you went to college and didn't finish, all you had to do was graduate from high school. You graduated from high school back in the day in June. Then you go to college in August. Well, you homesick that first or second weekend, so you come back for the game, for the first football game of the season, because you won't come back see everybody at high school. And that's your first experience with selling out. Oh, you think you sunk because you at that big college? No, man, I just came back. I just came back to see the game. Oh, you walk around. You think you something there because you went to college. Now that happened to all of us, right? You go to college. You come back home because you're homesick, and you gonna wash some clothes and get a home cooked meal because all you've been doing is eating fast food off your meal plan the whole time. So now you coming back. You go to the game. You expecting people to be proud of you, and everybody there already hate you. You like, dude, I only been gone 2 weeks. Right? I only been gone 2 weeks, and then you got to prove to yourself. You got to go hang out with all the people who didn't go to college. You got to go to those places where everybody's still hanging out that didn't go to college, and you get that first dose of what it's like to be a sellout. Because sellout basically means I'm going to do something that is not typically done from the crew I was with or from the area I was from. TLC, jump in there and let everybody know how well you went back to Hereford County for the first time after you went to state.
Oh, it was fine for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh, they love you.
The
They love
people
to play.
love me, so it was
They
no
love to
problem.
play.
But
They
again, it
they
goes
need
back
help.
to
They need a health care. They didn't want TLC. They didn't want TLC daddy to ban him from the office.
it goes back to what I was saying. You know, sometimes the person who's fighting is fighting themselves, and they're looking at you, but they're mad at themselves because maybe they didn't go to college, or you have a dream or you have a goal, and that might have been their goal. They didn't hit that goal, but they're mad at you because of that. And I kind of see a little bit of that with that whole Cat Williams situation. You know, the whole Steve Harvey. A lot of people may have stepped on Cat Williams or whatever, and they're like, "Who cares?" You know, he'll be a nobody in a few years, but he's still got it going on. He's still doing his thing, and now Cat Williams is relevant, and now he's like, you know what? I don't need y'all now. I don't need these other comedians. And I think that's what's part of the allure of the whole situation is that he's going to do his thing, and everybody realizes that you know what he just said. All these other comedians are kind of grouped together. They're kind of working together, building off of their own success. I don't need none of those guys. And people are like, oh crap, and he don't. He's selling out coliseums and stuff. So I think that's part of the attraction to Cat Williams. It's like okay, all these people kind of pushed you aside, and you still being successful, you still doing your thing, you don't even need these other people really. I think that's part of the attraction. And I felt the same way about Nick Saban. When you look at all the coaches and everything that came under Nick Saban that are successful doing their own thing, now Nick Saban's stepping aside and people are like pouncing on him. Like you said, they want to get all the kids from Alabama and all this and that, but they won't say that when Nick Saban was around. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ron, what about you, Ron? What you thinking?
No, I think it's whoever gets the information out there first, right? That's the one who has all the heat, got all the smoke, right? And so even though Nick Saban is going to be gone, and that's from the Cat Williams standpoint, like he was able to
No,
tell his story first.
remember, Ron, he was last. Remember,
Well,
Steve
I'm talking
Harvey
about
had
on
been
such a
on Ricky.
platform. Oh, had he? See, I
Remember,
don't watch.
Steve Harvey had been on Club Shay Shay. Sandy has been on Club Shay Shay. Ricky Smiley's been on Club Shay Shay. That's when Kevin Hart called Club Shay Shay and said, "I'm coming on now." That's that, and
Oh,
that's the first time it's ever. Nobody cared when Steve was on it. Nobody cared when Ricky Smiley was on it. Nobody cared when Sid was on it.
so yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, I don't remember none of that. I mean,
Exactly,
maybe a little bit, but not. I
that,
don't remember it like that.
and that's
Um,
the problem when you sell out, right?
and that's
Because
yes, yeah.
well,
As far as
I
Nick
think,
Saban goes, though, like you got to consider Nick Saban like going to grandma's house. If grandma done died, grandma's house ain't the same.
mm-hmm.
So you go to Alabama, but you can say what you want. Nick Saban's handprint is all over a lot of these schools because so many coaches have come through there, assistant coaches, line coaches, whatever, and they spread out throughout the whole college football arena. So it's like his hands are implanted, like just it's there. It's not going anywhere with his influence for a long, 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 long time. Yeah.
And so that's what I want you guys to see. What makes Cat Williams impressive is that his story was the last one. Most people believe the first story they hear. When he saw what Club Shay Shay did with those other three, he just waited for them to get it all out. And guess what, guys? Most of the time, nobody questions your story. So when you sell out, you just better hope that the people who stayed true just don't have time to deal with telling people about the real you.
And it wasn't
And I
interesting, right?
think
Because they giving you the fluff. It wasn't interesting because they fluffing you up. Like let
well,
me say the correct thing. Let me say what I'm supposed to say. And Cat Williams said, "No, we're gonna bring it."
your message has been so polished when you sell out. And this is the funny thing, guys.
Yeah.
I'm a Steve Harvey fan. I'm a Said Entertainer fan. I was listening to Rick Smiley show on my way over to Orlando today. We grew up with those guys. I think what happens, I'm gonna say this: when you sell out, you can't keep trying to have a message that's making the people who stayed true feel bad about themselves. Because eventually they're going to say, man, I'm tired of hearing you talk. I'm going to go ahead and bring the receipts. I'm going to go ahead and call you out, right? And me and TLC were talking earlier, especially with the Steve Harvey situation. Steve Harvey, his PR firm needs to get ahead of this because Steve Harvey been having problems, especially with the rumors about Marjorie, taking Lori Harvey and giving her your last name at the expense of your other kids, saying you never spent that time with. Steve Harvey had a lot of stuff go on that just wasn't good for his image that he was trying to portray. Now, the one thing I like about Steve Harvey is I thought he was always motivational. But by coming up with the topic of this podcast, I realized he's motivational for the people who have decided that I'm tired of staying true and I'm going to take a different route. I'm going to sell out. So and remember, guys, when you sell out, you got to step on the people who stayed true. What hurt the most about this Cat Williams story is when he said Steve Harvey called Oceans to say, give me the job instead of giving it to Bernie. Instead of giving it to Bernie Mac. See, when you hear stuff like that, guys, that's part of the sellout procedure. And again, if you gonna get rich, somebody got to get poor, right? I can't win the fight unless somebody lost. And one of the things you got to find is
dog world.
It's a doggy dog world. That's why I say it. If you gonna sell out, you gonna step on somebody. If you gonna stay true, you're allowing somebody to step on you. So which one do you want to be? And a lot of us have been conditioned to be the ones that stayed true, to let people step on you, and then you say, oh, I'm in the grind, I'm out here keeping it real. It allows you to make you think you better than the person who stepped on you. But the person is just doing what they were designed to do to you if you decide to stay true. Because most of us who are staying true are not staying true to something that's uplifting us or that's helping us grow. We're staying true to the same thing, and that same thing is not evolving. Jump in there, TLC. Let me know what you're thinking.
Well, I think a lot of it too is the platform. You know, Steve Harvey, he had his own TV show, he had his own radio show. Ricky Smiley's got his radio show. Kevin Hart, he's got all these outlets and things that he's doing. Cat Williams doesn't really have. He doesn't do a lot of interviews and things. He doesn't have those outlets that a lot of people have. I've heard Cat Williams talk about Steve Harvey before in the past, but maybe a lot of people haven't. But I think with Club Shay Shay, he had that platform now where there were already a certain amount of people, and Shannon Sharp was like, you know, it's you can say what you want to say. I'm not here to censor you in any way, and he went with it, and his message got out there. I think that's why it's also so many viewers, or was it 10 million, 40 million, whatever it is now.
Yes,
I
40
mean,
million.
he always had that opinion, but he didn't have a platform for it. And I was thinking
TLC,
about
hold on, TLC, let me jump in there. For everybody who listening, look at what TLC just said. Platform. Ricky Smiley, Said the Entertainer, Steve Harvey are on platforms where they can't talk like that. Right? Because that company can pull that radio show. That company can pull you off of Family Feud. That company can pull you from X, Y, and Z. So Steve, Said, and Kevin Hart, no, I can't respond to this in a way that the people who stayed true and the people who resonating with Cat Williams, I can't respond like that. Chase credit card's gonna rip this sponsorship away from me if I respond to Cat like Cat responded to me. And what y'all got to understand is why are we on YouTube with the Hometown Hookup Edition? Because we can talk like this for the most part on these digital platforms, on these podcasts. And a lot of us who sold out, but we using traditional forms or traditional platforms, you can't respond. Because if he called you a plant, and the reason you can't respond is because, oh my God, if I show them the real me, or I shouldn't say the real me, the stay true me, the former me, because all of us were in the stay true category. Only a select few decide to sell out. So if I go acting like that, I done lost this platform. Then TLC, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the Club Shay Shay platform is what really did this. Because 20 years ago, Steve Harvey Said Entertainer and Cat Williams and Kevin Hart wouldn't have to worry about this. Nobody was going on YouTube to get their feed of media. Go ahead, TLC, and then Ron, I want you to jump in there.
I was gonna say it also ties into that Jason Whitlock and Stephen A. Smith thing.
Yes.
Because they were both on ESPN at one point in time. If you remember, ESPN got rid of a lot of people, and Jason Whitlock was one of them. And now all of a sudden, Jason Whitlock got this problem with Stephen A. Smith, who's still at ESPN. And it's like, you know what? You can talk all you want, but Stephen A. Smith has still got the larger platform. He's got a larger following. I don't know what went down, but you didn't have a problem with him.
Stop right there.
When you were both on the same platform.
I need all of y'all to go. Stephen A. has the number one show on ESPN, traditional media. That's what you're talking about. Go look at Jason Whitlock's views and go look at Stephen A. Smith's views. Stephen A. Smith, last time I checked, when he called Jason Whitlock out of his name, last time I checked, that thing was over 700,000 views. Go look at the rest of his views on other things he's talking about. Because leaving ESPN to come talk on YouTube, let me tell you something. When you come on YouTube, you think everybody want to hear you. And then when you drop that video and you get 10 views, now everybody else, the other 300 million people in America, what's wrong with y'all? Because y'all should have wanted to hear this, right? But television is dying. Jason Whitlock has a presence on this thing called YouTube. He dropped what he called about Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith got to respond. Because if you want to come into this YouTube business, if you want to have this platform on these new digital settings, you have to respond. You can't be on ESPN and everybody know this man roasting you. He calling you Stephen A. Myth, right? Once somebody give you a nickname like that, now you got to respond. So and this is what Stephen A. Smith did. And y'all, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just telling y'all, Stephen A. Smith let everybody know, y'all come onto my platform tonight, I'm going to address this fat bastard, is what he called him. That's what he said.
Well,
but here's the deal. Then this is what happened. He lost credibility. I've already told my bosses at ESPN I'm gonna say this, and I got clearance to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just making the point. You cannot say I cleared this with my bosses. Your bosses need to hear this when everybody else do. But guess what? When you're making $12 million a year, you can't give that up.
Keep your bag. Yes, keep your bag.
Right?
Yep.
Right? TLC. And Stephen A. Smith responded to Whitlock. Now, all of Stephen A. Smith's people on ESPN are going to Whitlock's channel, and Whitlock is just dropping receipt after receipt. Stephen A. Smith said he only played one game at Winston-Salem State because he blew out his knee, cracked his kneecap, had to put a 6-inch screw in to his knee. Now, clearly he said a 6-inch screw. What did Jason Whitlock come back on with his next show? Hey, y'all, Stephen A. Smith, maybe he was just talking. You know how he can get bombastic at some time. That man had a 6-inch screw, and that screw was like that, and you could tell there ain't nowhere in the hell you can put a 6-inch screw in your knee. And so it's just getting worse and getting worse for Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith is telling you his story. But when you telling your story, right, it ain't nothing worse when your parents start telling you the truth about your upbringing. And you were like, oh my God, that's what, oh, right? Like you remember a certain perception of it. Then they start telling you the truth. And I think what's happening right now, these digital platforms around, I want you to jump in there. If somebody, like when I get a comment on this page, the first thing I got to do is send it to y'all. Because now it's just like, man, you hear what this fool just said? Like, Brad, what the hell? But I think you can, on these platforms, you have to respond. And if you're a person who sold out, a sellout response don't work like a stay true response. That's why I love when Boosie get on anybody channel.
Oh
If
my
you
Lord.
if you get Lil Boosie on anybody channel,
I love him.
So we need to bring crack back. It's better than fentanyl. What? Okay.
yeah, and you can't help but agree with him because nobody was dying by touching crack.
Right.
Same, yeah. Go ahead, Ron, jump in there.
No, I agree with what y'all are saying. I think there's benefits to both selling out and staying true. But at the same time, you can't be out here staying true in your pocket. You don't have no money. Like, you gotta have something to fall back on. Yes, word is good. Keeping your word, doing whatever. Like, I get that. But at the end of the day, if you, like y'all was saying, if the platform isn't big enough, then how are you gonna even? Don't nobody want nobody broke telling you
Stop right.
nothing. You want nobody
But
broke telling you nothing.
yes, you do. But around to certain people, you have to be broke in order for them to listen to you. Because if you got money and you try to tell people something, first thing, man, it's easy for you. You got money. That's what they say.
But that's the flip side too, though. Man, you broke. What you got to tell me?
Yeah, that's the
just
whole
as
point.
bad as I am. You worse off than I am.
Right? The blind can't lead. Why do you think the Bible had to put in there the blind can't lead the blind? Because guess who was leading the blind?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's the reason why it's in the Bible that the blind can't
Well,
lead
that's
the
what I say.
blind.
It's benefits for both, man. When it comes to that, it just depends on where you are in life, and if it serves a purpose for you to sell out or for you to stay true. And it's gonna be hard to find that mixture of both to where, like, it ain't gonna cause no friction. But life is friction, and if you can't get used to that, you're gonna always either find yourself selling out or staying true. You're gonna find yourself on one side of the coin always if you don't
I,
know
I,
how to maneuver it.
I like what you just said there, Rhonda. Everybody gonna get the option. Everybody gonna get the option to sell out. And I love the movie Get Up. If y'all go get the movie Get Up with when they did the James Brown story, Get On Up, the James Brown story. When Little Richard was out there talking to James Brown, and he said, "Man, look, everybody go through it." He said, "You gonna get a chance to make a deal with the devil. He ain't gonna have no red suit, no red horns, and a tail, right? He gonna have that the person who is gonna make this deal with you, and you gonna have to decide." And Cat Williams pretty much just confirmed that. Now, we don't know for sure if that's how these guys got there. But here's what you're going to find, guys, if you want to know if somebody sold out. When you're doing the same work that they tell you to do, but you ain't getting the same opportunity. Right? Because people who get to a certain level, they're going to tell you, man, you just keep grinding, keep believing in yourself. Stay positive. Right? Stay positive. Speak life over yourself. Do your daily affirmations. Do your confessions. Read this book. Go to this seminar. You like, man, I done all that and it ain't working. Well, you ain't had the meeting with the dude in the suit that's gonna tell you, okay, man, I recognize what you're trying to do, right? And think about it, guys. Every good athlete coming out of high school had that meeting early, because these coaches come into your living room. Let's make a deal. We want you to sign with us. And now this transfer portal means we ain't got to keep that deal. And these coaches are losing power because if you don't play me now, I'll just leave. Or if you piss me off, I'll just leave. And even though you might be making $5 or $10 million a year, this $500,000 I can get in NIL is the same equivalent. Because my family living like, and now I can get in this transfer portal and make even more. Because if I sit on the bench at Alabama, I'm better than 90% of the people who started anywhere else. Right? And the coach would love for me to come because I'm going to tell him everything Nick Saban was doing at Alabama. Okay, we'll pay you $500,000 for that. Right? We'll pay you $1 million for that. What your family need. If we can get that information, if you can come in here and tell us how to do the weight room, if you can tell us how to run an offense, if you can tell us how to run a defense, right? And I think one of the things we got to recognize, guys, is that there's nothing wrong with selling out. And again, and I'll be honest with you. Let's just say people agree that Sid sold out, Steve sold out, Kevin Hart sold out. Man, those guys have pretty much represented the culture well, right? Let's be honest. Steve ain't got locked up. Sid ain't got locked up, right? We don't hear about no additional. Look, Steve, you heard about Marjorie, but you didn't hear about Steve having nobody. And typically, when you have a situation like that, both of them doing it at that level, right? Both of them doing it at that level. When Tom Brady and his wife broke up, oh, she is with the jiu-jitsu teacher, and he is with this person over here. Now you hear, but guys, we ain't heard nothing about Sid the Entertainer. Now you're hearing some stuff about Kevin Hart, but on the other side of it, because that girl came out and dropped that girl came out and dropped that case against him and that kind of thing. But man, these guys have represented the culture well. But I think when you decide you're gonna show your private jets, and when you decide you're gonna show your cars and that kind of thing, one of the things is just know 99% of the people sitting there saying, who did you rip off to get it? Who did you step on to get it? Who did you, what did you do in order to get that? Because how can you spend $500,000 on a Maybach? What are you doing? And one of the things you're gonna find is a lot of these guys are telling you what to do. You can do it. But if you don't meet that person who can transfer it to you, and it's going to come at a cost. I saw in the news today, Diageo, who makes Ciroc, officially settled everything with Diddy. And one of the things that Diddy can't do is he can't bash Diageo and Ciroc anymore since he's not a part of it. Why? Diageo done seen the Cat Williams interview. They do not need Puff Daddy to get on somebody's couch and say, let me tell y'all how they came after me. Because guess what, guys? Who buying Ciroc now?
Well, I bought some the other week. You had to do it.
I'm going to go there, Ron. Look at the price. Look at the price since Diddy disconnected from it. Look at the price of Ciroc now. Look at the price of Ciroc. It is cheap. Ciroc used to be locked up. You used to have to go to the front to get it.
But can I say this real quick?
Go ahead.
And this is just a thought. It just hit me just now. It seems like, and I know you said earlier, you don't want to make anything about race, but it seems like when it's coming to selling out and staying true, that it is like a black thing. Like you don't see, I'm trying to see the examples y'all have given of anybody. If anybody white has had to sell out because they know to get the bag. They know, like, no, we step on you know what I'm saying. You step on anybody that get in your way, like the Wolf of Wall Street. Other people's money, man. Let's go get it. Let's do whatever. But I'm like, everybody you named, and it didn't hit me till you said Tom Brady and Giselle, but he ain't sold out nobody as far as I know. But with all the other examples, they all have had to on some
stop
level.
Right there. Stop right there, Ron. Stop right there. See, I'm glad you brought that up. He did. What does Antonio Brown say about Tom Brady?
I don't know.
But Antonio Brown was considered crazy. Antonio Brown was considered having CTE.
Well,
remember, Antonio Brown was coming after Tom Brady. Now, nobody else was. See, the problem that happened when Cat Williams dropped his, other people were like, yeah, same thing happened to me. Antonio Brown, when he was talking about Tom Brady, nobody else came out and confirmed.
Look, what you heard with Cat Williams was who was it that said through him a white towel and 15 grand was wrapped up in it? Like you hear people saying how he was helping people and not kicking them while they were down.
D-Ray Davis, man, dude just came backstage and gave me $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what JB does. Just lay it down like that for you.
I don't have it. No, I don't. No, I don't. For everybody listening to this, I don't.
I'm still looking for my towel.
TLC will do it.
I'm looking for my towel too. But Ron, I'm
I
glad
was,
you put that race thing. No, Chelsea, go ahead real fast.
oh, off of Ron's stand about race, I think a lot of it comes to ownership because,
Mhm.
like JB said, at some point, someone's gonna come and meet you, and that devil ain't gonna be in a suit and tie necessarily. When you look at a lot of people like Kevin Hart and all in the entertainment industry in general, we
Yeah.
don't own like production companies, we don't own movie studios and things like that. So
Mhm.
you are limited. You can go to a certain level, but then once you want to work and do movies and things like that, you do have to work and do what the movie studios say and things like that. And I saw an interview with
Yeah.
Bootsy, and he was
That's his
talking about
name.
the music industry, and he was
Mhm.
saying now most rappers or anything, they already have to have their Instagram followers, their production. They already have to have their music out there before a major label will even work with them.
Mhm.
So once you join that label, you have to kind of listen to what they're going to say. But I think Boosie's been independent, I believe. So, he can say whatever he wants.
I love
And
it.
once you learn how to work independent and do that, you have that freedom. But most
Mhm.
people don't. You have to go through some kind of vehicle or some kind of company to get where you want to be. And it's the
Mhm.
same thing with Tom Brady. It's just everybody, he's working for somebody. He's working for the NFL or whatever, but, you know,
Can I pitch
they
my
they they
listeners?
they they do control him to a certain extent of
Can
what he
we
can
pitch?
say and what he can do.
Can I pitch the viewers and the listeners off? And as we get ready with the few minutes we have left, I want to discuss it. Ron, I'm
What's
glad
up?
you brought in the race component because the reason why it's happening to black people are rooted in church. White people aren't. White people go to church. Black people believe in church. All these people started out where? All of them started out where? And we get taught to not go into the world. We get taught to stay to stay here. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. And now you got all this talent. How come Beyonce couldn't accomplish this in the church? How couldn't? Right? Because guess what, guys? The black community is so rooted in church. And like I tell people, there's people who go to church and then there's people who believe in church. Well, the most talented ones believe in it. And so now you get this system put on you that doesn't work anywhere else. It don't work there, but it don't work anywhere else. How is it that Beyonce couldn't get Jay-Z if she was in church? Somebody came, saw Beyonce singing gospel. How many gospel songs Beyonce sing there in her concerts?
It may be
CTLC,
one.
Mm.
right? Well, yeah, it might be. It would. Like, look, I ain't heard Beyonce sing a gospel song at her concert. Ain't nobody posting that on YouTube. Ain't nobody post if she is singing a gospel song. I watched at her last show where she had
Church
her
girl.
daughter,
Church girl is one.
right? But here's
It
one
really
out of
is.
all the things.
Yeah.
But
So I say I think
look
she
at her.
got one something.
Look at the Renaissance tour. Look at the Renaissance tour. And this is big, guys. I want y'all to see this. Look at the Renaissance tour. She has her daughter on tour with her, dancing on the stage because guess what? Teaching her, you ain't gonna go through this church setting like me, right? You ain't gonna go through this church setting like me. All of our talent starts out where?
In the
This is
church.
why the moment these that's why look at Dwight Howard, number one draft pick, Dwight Howard, church boy, went to that Christian Academy in Atlanta, number one draft pick, and what y'all are seeing is all of our talent starts there, and the number one reason why the race thing is so prominent with us is because you've been taught church your whole life. You got guys that can't read, but they know to go to church on Sunday, right? That's the one thing in our culture. And when I got exposed to certain stuff that white people go to church, we believe it. And now all of a sudden you at a disadvantage right there because you never get taught business. You only get taught this stuff that's in your little ecosystem of lack or your ecosystem. Bless you. Ecosystem.
Bless you.
Hopefully the background noise get removed that. But I thought you were about to say hallelujah. I didn't know you were gonna sneeze. But I want to get your thoughts on that. If you're rooted in this church thing, church don't work outside of church. That's why I love to see some of these pastors. I go to their YouTube pages. Why did their YouTube page doesn't get the traction? Because once you put it in the mainstream media, don't nobody want to hear it. So now you have to sell out. Steve Harvey, a church boy. Ricky Smiley, church boy. Say it, entertainer. Church boy, all their jokes.
And wear
If you
it
go
with
to
pride too. Like you wear it with
absolutely,
pride.
you wear it
Don't you
with
dare
pride.
get up in
All
front
this,
of somebody and don't you thank God for something?
absolutely. Everybody who get drafted, every black kid that get drafted, first thing they say is, "I want to thank God." Right?
Mm-hmm.
White boy get drafted, man. Thank my mom and dad. Oh, really? Okay. What the hell? Where? Right? Oh
Yeah.
no, man. They don't even mention God. Well, we got taught this system that puts us at a disadvantage. Now we get emotionally attached to that system, and we don't want that system to be wrong, because if that system is wrong, mama wrong, auntie wrong, cousin wrong, uncle
Oh
wrong,
well.
grandma wrong, granddaddy wrong, everybody wrong. So I can't let that be wrong. So I got to keep building. Now I got to hire me an agent to negotiate my deal, because my agent don't go to church. My agent, TLC.
Yeah.
I'm hiring people who don't go to church, and then it's just taking away my money. It's just taking away my money, right? And that's why you see these guys know you went to church, and they know you don't have a clue. And by the time you figure it out, how much money have you lost? Jump in that TLC. Let me know what you think when you hear me say that.
When you say that, I think, a church is structured and you're supposed to carry yourself a certain way and be a certain way. And sometimes the world doesn't quite work under those circumstances. And I was thinking about Friday and Chris Tucker, and they actually mentioned him during the interview about how he didn't want to do Friday after next because he didn't want to be seen smoking weed and everything when he's got that Christian background. But I was like, you know what? You were smoking on the first Friday. Like, you didn't have a problem with it then. But then
Yes.
once you got to a certain point, you got to a certain amount of success, those influences kind of kicked in and you're like, oh, you had to step back from it. But I would have sold out and took the bag.
Well, he
Yes.
did. Remember, that's how he got rush hour and all that. But here's the deal. Remember, Chris Tucker got in trouble because he didn't pay his taxes. Now, here's what I know he did pay. He paid his tithes.
Mm.
He didn't pay his taxes, but he paid his tithes. That's why he's still welcome in churches, because he paid his tithes. Now, when was the last time we saw him in a movie? Right? And this is why what I love about what Tyler Perry did with Madea is he kind of mocked that whole situation. He kind of mocked that whole situation. So when you look at Mr. Brown, who was a church, Mr. Brown and Cora were these church people, right? Tyler Perry recognized, like, dog, I can make some money off of mocking this thing. I can make some money off of mocking it, because he had to realize that, man, if you follow this teaching
But
in the
he
black
loved his
church,
grandma. He
he
adored his grandma.
He adored his
Yes.
grandmother. If I follow this teaching, I'm gonna be broke. If I mock this teaching, I got a whole compound in Atlanta where now Atlanta has become the new Hollywood. He mocked it, and look at what he's doing. Now, we know he got his issues too. We ain't gonna get in that on this platform. But Rhonda, what do you think when you hear me talk
Allegedly.
about allegedly? That's true, TLC.
No,
Rhonda, what do you think?
that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I'm like, it just seems like it's so interesting, because even with us, if we're responsible if our parents get sick, right? We're responsible, like we may have to go home, like and take care of things or what have you. And you don't normally hear like white people or what have you,
Oh, they put him in
Europeans,
a
whatever
home.
you want to call it.
They put him in a
Like,
home.
you know what I'm saying? You don't hear them having that responsibility or obligation, depending on what you consider it, to even have to do that. And so yeah, so no, I think it's an interesting conversation, because it can really alter a lot of things in how you move in life. It kind of hinders you.
That's why.
It kind of
Rhonda,
hinders you.
if you are a minority, you rooted in church. And that's why if I told somebody I put my mama in hospice, what? We don't do
No,
that.
y'all. She only got 2 days to live. She only got 2 days to live, so she got to go there.
Right?
No, she supposed to die at home.
She supposed to die at home. Right? Like the number one thing is you go to a black funeral versus a white funeral. We call it a homegoing service. We look at your godly brother. How does that happen? We rooted in church. No matter what your God got going on, he was still going to church. The man literally hugging the mama of the uncle that died. He there with his family. Biggest dude at the funeral. What happens when he walk outside? To just go to the repast, gets gunned down at the funeral.
Oh, we ain't heard about that. Who was that?
Your Gotti's brother. Your Gotti's brother in Memphis, Ron.
Oh,
In Memphis, they had a
That's all
funeral.
you
His
got to
uncle
say.
died.
All you got to
The
say is that.
dude shared his location. He went on social media. Rest in peace, Unc.
I
And
mean,
shared the location. 20 minutes later. 20 minutes
dead.
later, laid out dead in a pool of blood. Right? Yo Gotti's brother. So one of the things you're gonna find is no matter what they got going on, we still go to this thing called church. And church has been the number one robber of the talent and resources, and more importantly, teaching you how to perform in the business setting. Because you got the most talent, but we don't know how to perform outside of those four walls.
Well, yeah, talk about getting taken advantage of.
And
You
now
get
we
taken
got to
advantage
go.
of if you rooted in there.
And now these people, when you go to the world, these people find out you don't know something. Ain't nobody gonna say, "Oh, TLC, don't worry about you don't know it. Come on in here, buddy. We gonna teach you." No, right? Ain't nobody gonna do that. You got to go
TLC look like
learn.
he done heard that before.
TLC, look now. TLC ain't getting invited. TLC ain't get TLC, and that flip it on everybody in the job. Yeah, I don't trust y'all, man. Y'all go do that meeting
for
yourself.
real?
I ain't no sellout. Y'all go do that meeting yourself. TLC a man of the people at work. TLC a man of the people at work. But that's what happened. And now black people got it.
I played a role until I got something else set up.
Right? But black people now think that, oh, we got to do like white people do. We got to do like the Jewish people do. We got to do like this subset of people. No, you just don't get taught. This now the number one thing you hear black people saying, oh, we got to stand on business. What white person you hear saying that? Well, what if you got taught business wrong? Now you standing on something wrong. And the one thing I learned is ain't nothing like learning the wrong thing and doing it right. Because now you didn't got good at doing something wrong. And now you emotionally attached to it. That's when you hear people say, man, I'm out here grinding. I'm out here grinding. I'm out here on my grind. Out here on my grind. Yeah, but that ain't working because you done got taught wrong. And anytime I hear somebody say grind, go tell the car dealer that your car got a grinding noise. But we got to remove that. They don't say, let me smooth it out so it'll be quiet. You got to remove it. Now, if you keep driving it, you ruin the whole car. And a lot of y'all out here talking about you on your grind. You out here, you out here doing your thing, man. If I had your hands, I cut mine off. All this kind of stuff. That ain't how people talk in the real world. And so now black people trying to create this own ecosystem. And I applaud these guys. Whether you sold out or whether you stayed true, Cat Williams was still about that business. Because he's still selling out comedian shows. He's still selling out his stand-up. If he in a movie, it's funny. People still love him. Even if you stay true, you still got to work. TLC said it when we did the Keke Palmer one. What was the problem with the boyfriend? He was the only one not working. If you decide to stay true, you still got to work. If you decide to sell out, you still got to work. At the foundation of it all, you still got to work. But if somebody doesn't teach you the way the world works and you go out to work, it ain't going to mean nothing. It ain't going to be fruitful. TLC, what's your closing thoughts for the night, brother?
Well, I've been grinding hard on this podcast, so
Time to remove. Time to remove it. Time to
no,
remove it.
but I think you just have to look at your situation in life, decide which way is best for you. You have to make a decision and go with it. If you're gonna sell out, then sell out 100%. Go for it. But I don't think you can sell out and then look back on it and be like, well, I should have stayed true here. It's kind of hard to change things up once you've gone down that road. So, make a decision and go with it, and hopefully it works out for you. Either way, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
Okay. All right, Rhonda, what's your closing thought?
I can definitely agree with TLC on that. I feel like it's not necessarily better. I still want to stick with what I said in the beginning, that it's different. Selling out and staying true, depending on the situation. But I do know if you're going to put that type of pressure on yourself, you better hope that you have made the right decision with either one, because there's pros and cons to both of them. And I think it is on a case by case basis. Um, and if I get an opportunity to go somewhere and make a buttload of money doing massages, being on
Take
Oprah's entourage or somebody, I'm out.
it.
I'm
Take it.
out.
Oprah,
Point
you hear
blank
that?
and period.
Oprah,
Yes.
Oprah, if you listen or got your staff
Yeah.
listening,
Let me
call
touch your
Rhonda
soul.
so
Yeah.
she can
Let me touch your
rescue us.
soul. Yeah.
Call
Touch
Rhonda
your
so
soul.
she can rescue us.
But it's just what it is. I think it is a case by case basis.
We tied
But
this
I
chip the
think
circuit podcast, Oprah.
it's something for people to recognize the opportunity. I think that's what it boils down to with selling out and staying true. Is there opportunity for you to do something bigger and better? or is it not? And so if your discernment isn't there, then you probably gonna stay true for a lot of different things, but you settling for a lot of stuff. Sellout gives you opportunities to see how far you could go and bump what everybody else thinks.
Okay. But look, y'all know my closing statement. I'm going scripture on y'all. I'm going scripture on y'all for all my fans. I'm going scripture on you, TLC. There's a proverb that says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he old, he won't depart from it. But then Jesus came in the New Testament and said, you got to be born again. So the topic was sell out or stay true. Which one is better? I'm going with Jesus. Jesus said sell out, but he said born again. Jesus said you got to be born again. See, old said train up a child in the way he should go. New said, man, you got to be born again. This training up stuff ain't working. Because what if you got trained wrong? You got to be born again. The sellout is better. Because while I appreciate everything Cat Williams said, what got the views is he was talking about people who were well known. If these guys weren't well known, if a tree fall in the forest and nobody heard it, did it really fall? So I'm going to tell you, I think selling out is better because that's what's creating the whole controversy. And if you're going to choose to be on one side, I'd rather be on the sellout side. Because guess what? When you leave me high and dry because I didn't stay true, man, I can tell you like this, it's pretty nice over here. I've been a rich man and I've been a poor man. And I'm going to choose rich every time. When he said it on Wolf of Wall Street, and that's the difference with people who are rooted in business. If you going to stand on business, choose to be the person who operating in the abundance. Steve Harvey's system, Kevin Hart's system, they all rushed to surround them with the system they needed, that we going to get y'all through this. If you decide to stay true, now, what are those people going to do for you if you would have had a fallout, right? The number one thing that's happening is Kevin Hart's movie still dropped. Steve Harvey still on the Family Feud. Said entertainers, show still going. Guy Torrey just came out. TLC, I appreciate you sending me that. Guy Torrey just came out and said, hey, look, man, some of that stuff, let me just give y'all the receipts. And what y'all going to find is both systems going to rally around each other. So would you want a system that rally around your abundance or a system that rally around your lack and your emotion? Because that's what it really comes down to. So which one do I think is better? I think selling out is better. Y'all get down in the comments. Let us know what you think, man. And y'all know what it is. It's the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast, man. Do me a favor. Look below in the description. Get the merch. Support the channel. If you haven't done it already, mash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for notifications, man. Get in the comments. Let us know which one y'all think is best. Or y'all can text me since you don't want to say sell out is better, because you don't want to put that in the comments and get ripped, because you know that's what's going to happen when you say it's better being a sellout. Well, realistically, if you listening to this podcast, you either listening because you hate that I done sold out, or you wish I would have stayed true, or either you done sold out. Again, you know why you listening to this topic. TLC, man, appreciate you being on. Let them know where they can find you at on the socials again.
I'm on Instagram at TLPlay1 and at Patreon, The Joke I Didn't Tell.
Appreciate you being on, Brother Rhonda. Let them know where they can find you on the socials.
On Instagram at RMBLMBT.
And man, y'all know what it is. And until next time, we gon' holler. Yeah.
It's your boy JB, live and direct to you. You know what it is. Like and subscribe to.